My name is Robert Olvera. I'm a semi-retired family practitioner doctor. I've now turned my attention to be an advocate for compassionate choices. The main reason is because of this young lady. This is my daughter, Emily Olvera. She had cancer for 17 years. Emily was quite the normal young lady. She enjoyed fashion, she enjoyed shopping, she enjoyed her friends. Sometimes she was a pain in the butt, other times she wasn't. But she was certainly a joy to have around. But for 17 years she fought cancer. Ultimately, last year she died in April of 2014. In December, she had a stroke from having a very rare type of leukemia that attacked her brain and spinal cord only. The stroke, before this, she was in her car, she was driving, she was shopping, you couldn't really tell she had a cancer going on. But once she had the stroke, they believed she was septic, and what happened is it took her sight. She went blind after this. And she couldn't walk. She didn't know the difference really between up and down. She was confused a lot of the time. But more than anything, she had pain in her head from the expanding leukemic cells just growing every day. And she actually had an instrument placed in her brain where they would take fluid out of her brain and put chemotherapy in. But she agreed that she no longer wanted this because what she wanted to do was die. She was a brazen young lady. She could speak about these things. She never spoke a word about dying to her mother. It's just we're that different. Her mother's an RN. But with me, she did ask me a lot of questions about dying. And of course, questions I couldn't answer. But I had no idea that there was physician-aided death in 5 other states. And had I known this, we would have been gone. I would have taken her out of the state and done exactly what Brittany had done. But there wasn't enough time, and I didn't know about it. And I actually didn't find out about it until I read Brittany Kennard's story, and it was so compelling. And what it basically did was, I know Debbie real well, I know Dan Diaz real well now, we've become very good friends. And the stories we share are about 2 young women who were sort of alike in many ways, and part of that was that they could talk about their death and their dying, and Emily knew what songs she wanted at her funeral, she knew where she wanted to be buried, she knew who she wanted at her funeral, and also who she wanted to stay away from her funeral. So that was quite interesting. But nevertheless, Emily got her ways in many ways, with the exception of one, and that was choosing how she could die. What Emily had to do was wait till the cancer killed her, wait until the starvation kicked in, wait until the dehydration pushed her into renal failure, and wait until her neurological system just collapsed. And this took about 7 to 10 days. And it's nothing any father should ever have to go through, any parent should have to go through, or any child should have to go through. And what I'm speaking of is Emily's 4 months that she had, where she knew she had 0 quality of life. What was happening is they were extending her pain, they were extending her grief, they were extending her physical pain but they weren't really doing anything about her life. And she knew she didn't have a life, and she knew that she wanted to end it on her terms. Well, I couldn't do it, many reasons, but since then I've focused my attention, having learned about all of you wonderful people who have been here probably so many more years than me. And I want you to know that I really appreciate everybody coming out. I appreciate your support. A lot of it, I want you to know, is for Emily. She has a page on Facebook, and anytime I post anything on there, I'll wait until people get really hungry, and then I'll post something like a picture or a little story, and usually she gets about 3,000 hits overnight. I mean, she's known throughout the world, and she's been known for 17 years as being a very rare cancer, and she was given 8 months, but her mother made it happen, and we were very fortunate to have her for 17 years. But again, she didn't die the way she wanted to, so my life has now changed, that I'm going to try and help this bill come along. And I'll tell you, Senator Monty, when we first were told that the bill was being taken off the slate, my stomach just came down here. I was in Sacramento, and he said, "Don't worry, we have this and this and this and this to do." And I was like, "Well, wait a minute." And he just started pulling tricks out of his sleeve, and we had a feeling something like this was going to happen, and it happened. And it happened because of everybody here, and it will happen because all you need to do is tell 1 or 2 other people, please just get on your computers, register, send in the letters. We need the letters. They want the letters. There's assembly people who are saying that they're getting 9,000 letters that oppose it, maybe 10 letters that are for it. And we just can't figure out how that's possibly so when 7 out of 10 Californians want this. So we think they may just be computer generated, what have you. But please, thank you for coming out, and we appreciate it. God bless you. Sorry, I didn't follow my script.
Thank you, Dr. Oliver.
Surprise.
And you know what? And for this, you know what? Guess what? So Das Williams, time to vote with us. So hey, Das,
Hey,
vote
Das,
with us.
vote for us. Hey, Das, vote with 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 us.
Hey, Das,
Vote with us.
All right, nice job. Wonderful, wonderful. And also, in terms of family and where it brings together, I just wanted to say this is probably the coolest sign in all the rallies I've been at and a lot of activism I've ever done. So thank you very much for supporting your grandmother, coming out with us today. Did you get off school today, or does it not begin? Okay. But,
Good.
You get a doctor's note?
All right. For speaker, I want to invite Reverend Tamara Casanova Suzuki from the Live Oak Unitarian Universalist Congregation. Reverend?
I am a clergy person and a minister, and I counsel and pray with terminally ill people as they prepare for the end of their lives. I've also served as a hospital chaplain where I walked with many people as they faced their final time here on earth. We all hope for a good life, and although we may not talk about it as much, we also hope for a good death. Unfortunately, some of us do not get what we hope for ourselves or perhaps for our loved ones. In my conversations with terminally ill people, we've spoken of the fear and of the great pain that they're in, and many are forced to endure. These people don't want to die. They would love to live, but their illness is ending their lives. These Californians and their families simply want the option to die peacefully if their suffering becomes intolerable, without the pain that not even the best palliative care and most powerful medication can alleviate. These people want the choice of a peaceful death. As a religious leader, I am deeply concerned about Californians who are forced to suffer needlessly at the end of their lives. That is why I'm here to support the End of Life Option Act, to support the right for terminally ill, consenting adults under a physician's supervision to have this individual choice available as one option in a continuum of care. Of course, we should always provide quality end-of-life support for people who are suffering from incurable and irreversible illnesses, but there's a difference between just extending life and simply prolonging a terminally ill person's painful dying process. The dying and their loved ones can have moments of doubt, wondering where God is in the midst of their suffering. I believe that a compassionate God would not turn from a suffering, dying person and deny that person the option to die peacefully and painlessly. Unfortunately, the laws in our great state do not give this option to us. This option is just that. It doesn't mandate that one must leave their own values behind. It simply provides choice for all to be able to live out their own religious or spiritual values. It is hard to think of ourselves as mortal beings, to know that our time here on this beautiful earth is limited and that someday all of us will die. But the very knowledge of our own mortality is such a gift. It's a gift that we give ourselves every day, and it's a gift that we face each day to give it the best that we can and to know that our time is precious and not to be squandered. It's a gift even that we have the privilege to think about our mortality, including the act of death and the deaths of those we love. The goal should be, must be, to live a good life, but also to work for the possibility of a good death for ourselves, for our loved one, and for all of our fellow citizens who need this option now. I pray that our assembly members and our governor listen to what the majority of Californians are asking. The option, together with their families and their doctors and their faith, to make end-of-life decisions that are right for them in the final stages of an illness. I'm so glad to be here today with all of you. We will win this one way or another, but let's keep going forward, and amen and blessings on all of us.
Thank you so much, Reverend. And any questions from our reporter? So, yeah.
Has Jerry Brown said anything one way or the other?
No, he's been pretty close to the vest, but we fully anticipate when the bill passes out of the Assembly, goes to the Senate, he will be hearing from all of you quite often. Fantastic. Any other questions? Right, so the bill has a new number since we are going to the special session. It's ABX 215. So, but we like to refer to it as the End of Life Option Act, and your elected officials should know which one you're talking about. Any other questions? Right, make sure you have signed in, Deb, you might be talking to folks soon about volunteering and getting people involved, and we hope to be doing more of these. We hope to see you at some of the hearings that are going to be coming up in Sacramento, so we'd love to have you all there for the day, and get involved. Have forums at your house of worship, in your community centers. Talk this issue up. Go visit your elected official. That's a big one. Write letters. Be active. Come on out. We need your voices. Thank you so much for coming here today. I appreciate it. The people who we love and honor today and who we miss so much, fully appreciate it. and I'm so glad for all of you for your participation and for coming out today. Thank you. Yes.